Hey there, in here. So we're gonna try this. Oh, hey guys. All right. So we're gonna try this again. See how things go. I can't make any promises. All I can do is pick myself up and try again. Thanks, Aaliyah, for the encouragement, even from the other side of the veil. It's a good song. So there's a lot to talk about. This is going to be rather a mixed bag. So if you're just joining me, please understand that we are going to go over several different topics. They are all interrelated into the perfect storm, I believe, of what is happening right now at this time. But I might do it in a different order than I've been trying to because my videos keep getting shut down. But again, if at first you don't succeed, pick yourself up and try again. That was asked of me when I was being seriously abused before the jail time came into it for him. And when I believe something, a chip or a tracking device, was put into the back of my ear when they were sewing it back together and back on. I do believe what happened to me was done intentionally. Go to my testimony videos and you can see that ugly story there. I am not the same person that I used to be, nor would I want to be at this point. So there's a lot going on. I'm going to pull up the screen and see if I can share it with you. Okay, give me one. There we go. Now I'm just checking, so just bear with me. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back over and make sure the signal is still hanging out. Cool. So far, so good. All right, it says we're live. The time is continuing. I have a phone sitting here if I need to check things. The mic is working. So I'm going to leave things as they are and start the video. Usually, I begin with my personal testimony because again, a quick recap if you've not been here. For whatever reason, the things that happened in my life between 2017 and now end up going out to the public. For example, right now, everything that I love is being attacked. France has turned to debauchery and what they did to the Olympics. I love both France and the Olympics. I wanted to be a figure skater, and my father and his family hail from France. Well, I believe that we might have a particular bloodline that certain individuals have a keen interest in, and I think that is the beginning of where my problems came in. And then once they saw the kind of person I was, that I don't give up and that I'm tenacious, they went to more extreme measures. But since then, things have been coming out. So the Catholic Church is being attacked. I was raised Catholic. I do believe it was the first church, but I do not believe the church itself, the man-made institution, is infallible. So please just, again, if you are from a different faith, you're welcome here. Absolutely. What I try to do is use the small area of gifting and talent that God gave me to contribute in this time of mankind's greatest need, because we are being culled like plants and purged by God. So we are getting it from every angle at this point. I do believe it is a type of judgment upon America and the world. And I don't think it's going to get better until we start approaching things differently from different angles. And so that's why I do what I do. So I'm going to talk about the attributes of the fallen ones. You need to know what to look for and what to pick up on when you are out and in public or dealing with people. So what I did was I pulled up a search of verses on loyalty and honor. So let's check real quick what the quick thing was here. Bible study tools, loyalty but honor. Okay, let's go down a little bit. Again, this is how we do things just so I can be super transparent. That's why I don't like editing. It fools people. I don't care for that. Just people do that type of thing just to make money. And money is the god. If you've not realized that yet, mammon, money is the god of America. We are still in Rome. We never left, and now they're just doing the big reveal. Rome/Egypt, it's all the same thing. It does, pick one, doesn't really matter. Although the ones I'm around tend to lean into the Greek and the Roman and the Norse mythology. So understand they do have infighting, and that's what I want to talk to you about, because I'm going to try and expose their weaknesses here real quick. Now, one of their weaknesses obviously is their pride. That always comes first. Let's pull up loyalty. It's not. Let's do this. I want to make sure I'm still streaming. Everything's still working. Looks good. Looks good. Right. Let me go to another screen here and make sure things are as they should be. So on the outside, and I'm going to talk about their physical appearance, because what I did was I asked God in the beginning of my conversion or my reversion, my radical reversion. In the beginning, I asked God to show me physically who my enemies were, because spiritually I am weak, Lord. And he did that. He did that for me through Psalms a little bit, and he did it through exposure. Like he kept exposing me to the same types of people, and I was able to understand better what was going on in this time and now. So I just want to make sure that this is streaming and that I am actually live. All right, there it is. All right. Now I labeled or titled the video as I did for now on purpose. Once it posts, I will title it appropriately and include like what it's about or whatever. But I did not want to title the video right now that way, because I don't want to draw the trolls in, so to speak. So attributes of the fallen / ancient old little g gods. That way you know if you are dealing with one. I know that we are told that they are not corporeal beings, that they are not carnal, but I have reason to believe that this is incorrect. And please keep in mind that men are not infallible. Even our teachers of religion and faith are not infallible. And some of them have intentionally and purposely mistaught us so that we are easy prey for the wolves in sheep's clothing. And that's something that everybody just needs to or should accept at this point and move past. It stinks when you learn you've been deceived your whole life, but the only thing you can do really is pick yourself up and keep trying. And so that's why I do this. So we're going to pull up Bible verses. And so I'm going to get rid of one screen. And we're going to put up Bible verses real quick about loyalty. And then we will ancient old gods or unclean spirits or the hybrids, those who have Nephilim, Rephaim, Canaanites, those who still carry that with them. They are not loyal and they are not faithful. They are obviously prideful. That's the first thing, right? They are very prideful and they have no loyalty. Sometimes they are loyalty to their bloodlines, their quote unquote families, but that's only against other outside adversaries. With each other, they are still volatile. I know this from experience. Again, they can attach themselves to human beings. That's what they want. They want to be alive again. And some of them achieve that through false reincarnation. And I've talked about this in other videos. I would suggest that you go watch them if you would like to. Oh, no. No, thank you. Ads, I do not have an ad blocker, but I do have a VPN, which is nice now. So that's cool. Psalm 78:8. They would not be like their ancestors, the stubborn and rebellious generation, whose hearts were not loyal to God, whose spirits were not faithful to him. Okay? These ones, have created hybrids already. It already started with all their alien invasions in the 50s. And again, we will dig into the actual history of that if there's time as we continue on. Titus 2:1, remind the people to be subject to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, to be ready to do whatever is good. So we are supposed to be subject to our authorities. We really should not be protesting in the manner that we're doing. However, when those authorities go against God's plan, God's natural plan for the earth and for mankind, that kind of goes out the window. But you have to have discernment to understand when certain things apply and when they don't apply. Um, Meanwhile, Saul was still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples. He went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues in Damascus, so that if he found any there who belonged to the way, whether men or women, he might make them as prisoners to Jerusalem. And he heard Damascus on his journey. As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. This is Paul's conversion, and it's teaching you about times when you need to go against man's authority because it is harming God's people, or it goes against God's natural law. And we are beloved, I promise you. You can't see it here sometimes because you are too carnal. You're too caught up in the material and the physical. That's why you can't see it. That's why I encourage getting outside, grounding yourself, taking your shoes off, doing things children did. You see a swing, get on the swing. Do something outside in nature that makes you feel free and good, right? Let everyone have been established by God now. They're saying that God is the one who, in the end, puts the authorities on the earth. Now, let me be clear about this. I've said this over and over. And again, the butterfly effect is amazing. Maybe they're just stealing my material and giving it to all these content farms on TikTok and YouTube. I wish somebody would tell me what was truly going on. Apparently, nobody can reach me or loves me enough to do that. But for whatever reason, the things that we talk about on this channel end up big. And that's a good thing because people need to understand that the things I'm seeing happening in the world happened in my life first. How does that help you? Well, learn from me and don't let things escalate to that point. Cleanse yourself, cleanse your mind, renew your mind, be kind, forgive. Forgiveness is key, and that is what Satan hates the most. He hates forgiveness and when people change their mind, repentance. He hates that word. So if you really want to piss off the devil, excuse me. See, I was working with those 19 and 20-year-olds, and I got a bit of a swearing issue again. Not all the time, but when I talk about the fallen ones or things like that affect me personally, and they do. I don't really care who believes or not at this point. Again, enough people are talking that it's pretty obvious. The people on TV, on politics and wrestling and the news, things that they tell us are real. Those are all actors and actresses. For whatever reason, a lot of them live around me. I think that the person I was with had a big hand in YouTube. But again, I didn't know this. I wasn't told anything like this. I was told I had to work to support myself and him and our children. And that's what I did because I was so focused on feeding them. You don't have to do anything, folks. There's always a choice. Are you going to live the same? No, absolutely not. You're going to have to get used to nature, get used to living in a shack or being a nomad. But at the cost of your honor and your loyalty and your faithfulness, at the cost of your soul and your spirit. Some of us might need to do that, whether we're forced into it or not, just to be totally and completely cleansed because we've been so traumatized by the consequences of our own actions, but sometimes by the consequences of other people's actions, because it falls on the just and the unjust. And it's not okay to blame the victim, to say there's something mentally wrong with them. Yeah, they don't trust anyone anymore, and they're paranoid of men because men harmed them greatly. Why should that person get locked up? That one's not a danger to anybody. The people who are a danger are the people who did that to that person. Maybe if you started locking up the people who actually cause harm, people wouldn't walk around paranoid. People wouldn't walk around hiding from each other. But again, we're dealing with an anti-human agenda. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for his friends or family. Ezra 7:26, whoever does not obey the law of your God and the law of the king must surely be punished by death, banishment, confiscation of property, or imprisonment. Because again, they say God has the final authority. And it's my opinion at this point that again, the powers and principalities, the geographical areas that we live in are governed over by a watcher, by an angel. But if you're living in an area where that angel has fallen and given up that first estate, then you are subject to God's judgment and to everything that that angel did because you're under him. This is why I don't vote. I am not going to put somebody else's name above mine and then put myself in a new hierarchy, basically, and shackle myself to that person for 4 years. Because when I stand in front of the Lord or the creator, maker, candlestick maker, whatever you want to call that source of life, love, and all being, when I stand in front of him, I don't want to have to answer for everything that that other person did for those 4 years, because he'll say, well, you signed your name here. You signed your name under this person. You gave, you voted for this person. You elected them. So everything that that person is responsible for, you are too by proxy. Do you see what I mean? And that shackles you and it blinds you. Every time you commit a transgression, it blinds you. Sin is not a dirty word either. It is, you can sin by eating the wrong things and consuming the wrong things and putting them in your body, like the microplastics. We are sinning, transgressing against our bodies. We are missing the mark when it comes to consumption, right? So again, I try to go over like etymology and what words mean as well as I go through the videos, because I never know who's here, who's watching, who's listening. And my area of gifting is with words and some type of connection I have with the Lord, because the things that he's told me that were coming have all come true. And I believe I've done what he asked me to do. If I am one of the 2 witnesses, if I'm going to expire soon, I'd really like to do that in a place that I choose and not Ohio, where I know people and everybody turned on me, sold me out, and hates me. And that's not paranoia. In my case, it's true because I believe that I know the Antichrist. But again, on TV, they show you different images. Why do they do that? Simple. It's for security reasons. Think about it. If you were a wealthy celebrity or a scientist, astrophysicist, or sports star, would you want people knowing what you really look like when you go out to get groceries, or you go out to fish with your buddies, or you just want to stop and have a beer, or you want to go to the cemetery and visit, a loved one? Would you want them seeing your face and knowing you and harassing you all the time? And not to mention, if you put out some bad bills that hurt people and they know this, or maybe you made an injectable for a lot of people and it was very, very bad. Shoot, I'm going to have to do a video about that now. Musk said something yesterday as he was walking by an alleged reporter, but again, they show you things for a reason. And she asked for his phone number, and he said something, I forget, 800-8008. When I looked that up, there were so many things that populated on the gematria calculator. But one of the phrases that came up was, those who run the world, you know who they are with the little hats, those who run the world, they're not actually those people. We know this now. They're not the tribe. They are imposters. They have taken over. They are the synagogue of Satan, SOS, son of Sam, all the same things. They all work for Satan, Lucifer, Baphomet. Not sure exactly which one, maybe all 3. $8,008, it said those who run the world had put mercury in the injectables. That's what it is. That's making people not themselves. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. But I know about the human body. All my disclaimers are in the description box. And if we have all of these reaction channels now, people like me better never, ever get a copyright email ever. I do not consent to the way this is operating and how God's children are the ones who are being treated like this. It is persecution, it is tribulation, we are in judgment, but they need to learn to. And just because it is that time, God doesn't have us here just to sit on our hands. We are supposed to actually do something. Use our words, use our sovereignty, use our brains and wisdom and discernment that he gives us if we ask. So 8008, it said that. And yeah, something else to think about. Everything they say has a meaning. I do believe, though, that the things they tell us are fake on television. I think they might be real. I think because I've seen too many movies now with my story in it and other people's stories that I've talked to, and we'll get into that in another video, but we're going to talk about truth in television right now after we get through this. You need to understand that they are not loyal and that they are not faithful and that they have no honor, physically in appearance. The fallen angels, when they inhabit a body, or if it is someone of that bloodline, a hybrid, most oftentimes they're bald. That's why angels are so fascinated with people's hair, because they don't have any. God did not give that to them. I think they are part technological beings or part what we would call mechanical. I think we have to reframe our minds for what God is and his nature, only because, we don't know. And it's a good thing to do, to not be so prideful and think that you're right about everything and everyone, even the Bible. That's pride, man. Oftentimes they also have no teeth. This is because your teeth are your spiritual indicators. If your teeth start going bad or you start getting a problem with them, you should examine your heart and your mind and what you're putting into your body, of course, because your body absolutely affects the spirit. And when the spirit is sick, the body will display that. And again, this started because I asked God to show me physically who my enemies were, because I had no discernment and I was weak in spirit. And I'm weak in spirit. I need God, right? I'm kind of dumb. I know this about myself. I'm gullible. I used to believe everything people told me. Now I went to the other extreme and I believe almost nothing people tell me. Neither is good. We've got to find some balance. But I'm getting better at being more open and believing and disbelieving, not believing the lies, I guess I'll say. So oftentimes they have no hair, they have no teeth, they will have false teeth or dentures or whatever. And again, I'm not lumping everyone into that group and saying everyone who has teeth problems is not a child of God. No, things happen. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying for the most part, these are the things to watch for. They are all in positions of authority because God puts them there. The police, the judges, all of them. Terry Davis told us when he said they glow. The CIA glows. All these people that you're seeing with these security vests on and that safety color, be strong, stay safe. That's also the people who are on the team that is trying to take America down and dismantle everything. And they think they're doing good work. Like again, everybody on every side, it's all about perspective. Where you're from, who you're loyal to. People don't want their way of life to change. People we're used to their ways of life, right? They don't want to be told what to do. So of course you're going to have conflict. But I want you to know straight off the bat that the ones who all look like this tend to be strictly on the other side. There is no converting them. There is no changing them. They have no emotion. They're almost like robots. The only way they'll wake up is by God. So all the ones with the safety vest, that's a thing right now. They are on the stay safe, stay strong side. And I'm not saying those are bad things. We should try to stay safe. We should try to stay strong. But that's their code. That's how they talk to each other. They also talk to each other with the peace sign, which isn't actually the peace sign. But I'm not going to get into that right now. They have no honor and they have no loyalty. So the one who wants me to think that When I came back from Florida, my entire family had changed. A few months after that, I fell in their eyes, and I fell in the eyes of God with a man who came from Los Angeles and Las Vegas, and he told me at one point that he was a fallen one. I thought he was just really out of it. Like, I thought him and my husband had partied a little too much, and that was that. Now my children were older; they were teenagers. They weren't often in the house at that point. They had their own lives. So I thought it was okay to party a little bit in my 30s. What was I thinking? I was not thinking. That's the problem. I had a deaf, dumb, and blind spirit. And if I didn't do whatever my spouse did, well, I would pay for it in a myriad of different ways. When you are with an abuser or a narcissistic person, or now what I'm finding out, someone who is in the bloodline of these people, they are very narcissistic. They are very dangerous because of their proclivities and the way they've been raised, because they wanted them to be soldiers. They wanted them to be in this army of darkness. They wanted them to be warriors. So they abused them and did things intentionally to these people so that they would be loyal, but so that they would be fierce on the battlefield. But this isn't a battlefield. They were preparing them to get rid of God's people, and this is that kind of war. I can't tell you what to do or what to decide on, right? I can tell you God told me to do no harm at this time. Christ never ended somebody to end the demon, right? And I don't always agree with the book of Enoch, because I do believe that very possibly these individuals who have that bloodline in them, who have the fallen angel DNA strand, I do believe that possibly you can repent if you want to. You can be saved, because the Bible says, preach the gospel to all creatures. And because things are still continuing, why does Jesus have to come back a second time? Why didn't all the souls that were going to be born just were born the first time to see him resurrect, and then that was it and everybody was happy and glorious? There's a reason God is going about things in the manner that he is, and I'm not the one to question him. I'm just doing my best to try and display some things that are happening at this time. If the connection is decent and you appreciate the material and you understand the way in which I'm trying to relay my testimony and how it can help you, how it can give you some awareness, please do click the like. The channel will never be monetized, but that just helps me know if I'm doing all right in my speech and the vocabulary that I'm using. So 2 Samuel 15:23, the whole countryside wept aloud as all the people passed by. The king also crossed the Kidron Valley, and people moved on toward the wilderness. Not sure what that is. I think that's because of what the king is doing there. People with him over there, and we just run up. Okay, so they're going into like the whole story here. So let's go back, and we'll go to a different. No, we'll take it a second to load, so don't panic on me. Because of ads, of course. Now, how do I get rid of this one? Yikes. Sorry about that. I didn't know this site was like this. I apologize. All right, let me make sure you guys can see if there's anyone here, anyone watches later. Bible verses about honor. So again, I'm trying to explain to you the attributes of the fallen ones, of those who have hybrid genes as well. They were raised in a very abusive, specific manner so that they would be abusive. They are very intelligent. They don't watch television. They don't watch TV. There's a reason for that, because movies are witchcraft. I will explain that possibly in another video. We'll go over that again, because I want to do some more research about the analog side of things. I think it's it's very important for us to know certain things at this time. So let's check out here and see what's said about honor. And they also, there's a verse in Enoch. Now, again, I don't give Enoch total credence because of the people who are pushing it. And I don't think that God is going to put all of the women who were mothers to these things. I don't think he's going to punish all of them. Some of them did not know. These beings are able to shapeshift. They're angels. They can appear however they want. It said that they took the wives of their choosing because they took women who were already married. If God is just, he's not going to go willy-nilly like that, punishing and disciplining people who don't even know what they're being punished and disciplined for. See what I mean? This is why the Mormons have a lot of good doctrine. They don't tell outsiders certain things because then you're more responsible. And if you don't understand it, you're still gonna be held accountable because you were given the message, but you didn't receive it. See what I mean? Mormons are very smart in that way. And I do like a lot of their doctrine. I think that's why Lucifer went in and messed things up with the polygamy, and that's a sign of the fallen too. Anywhere where there's polygamy being encouraged or adultery of some kind, because they are never loyal. They are never faithful, not even to the women that they have children with. Obviously, they want more than one woman, right? They infuse, well, the Norse people are like that. And look at the difference in Christianity and every other religion. Even the people who think they're Christians, like Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, every other religion at some point or another has fallen into polygamy. Every single one. Adultery is one of the most offensive things to God because you're showing where your heart lies. You're showing that you're double-minded. You're showing that you have no loyalty. You're showing you can't be trusted. I mean, you show a lot, right? Adultery is, when you turn on a friend or you sell somebody out or you cheat on somebody. It brings bad effects into your life. And I know this from experience. I did not humble myself and humiliate myself and tell these stories to you and lose everything and everyone and every relationship that I had because I'm lying, right? Like I'm not lying. I wish that I was just crazy. I do. But now I'm seeing these things that I'm talking about again. When you speak up, other people can be more brave. Now, there are certain things we shouldn't even speak of, like child harmers. I believe that should remain with the parents and the child. And I believe that the root problem to a lot of these things is parents not supervising their children properly. And not just that, but the internet in itself. We open Pandora's box and we kind of don't know what we're dealing with. I think it's very possible that it's a sentient being. The cables are under the sea, where I believe the abyss from Revelation is. What does that tell you? How long have they been there? Fiber optic cables on the bottom of the ocean since the early 50s? If that don't show you they've been hiding this from us and watching us and monitoring us your entire lives, I don't know what will. There are no satellites. Those things aren't real. I mean, there's drones and they monitor you with things, and there's things inside of the firmament. But if you get outside of the firmament, man, that's not space, that's water. And if you get outside of there, close the door on your way out, please. I don't want to deal with that flood issue myself, but whatever. Okay, so the elders who direct the affairs of the church well are worthy of double honor, especially those who work is preaching and teaching. We are dealing again with a culling and a purge of those who are most vulnerable in our society. It's been happening since 2017. Again, I told you this was all going to go overt. It's been covert until then. The persecution in the tribulation has been covert up until now. If you can't see it with the pods that you can get in and end yourself, and the genocide everywhere, and nothing is sacred. There is nothing we keep sacred anymore. Our bodies, we show them off to everybody. We don't keep them sacred. Our marriages, we trash them or we brag about them. We don't keep them private and sacred. When our child does something wrong, instead of keeping that in the family and sacred, we go and talk to friends about things and see what can be done. They really did us a disservice when they took us out of our tribes and put us in these nuclear families. I think it's really funny too that they use that phrase, nuclear families. What is nuclear energy, guys? Where does it come from? What powers this place? Why do they need us here? Because we are the conductors for the electricity. If you actually think there's electricity, well, I mean, there's the wires outside are obviously doing something, but they're so old now and they're like falling apart. Even here in small town Ohio, and the poles are sinking into the ground. Like, you can have better tells around us right now. Again, if somebody like me, like I'm doing, declares it's the end of this age. Like, it just is. We have grown up in dystopia. If you can't tell by the shape of the buildings and the fact that our houses were never made to last, and the fact that instead of getting smarter and wiser, we're kind of getting dumber. The internet has done us a disservice that way, but again, it's a tool mostly. But I do believe there are sentient beings that can operate through the air, wires, wavelengths, frequencies of our devices. John 5:23, that all may honor the Son just as they honor the Father. John 4:44. Now Jesus himself has pointed out that a prophet has no honor in his own country. That's kind of what I'm facing, but I wouldn't call myself a prophet. I actually fell, I sinned, and it ticked people off. But again, the irony there is they want us corrupted. They're not legitimately angry because I sinned. They got mad because I turned to God, and their plan to end me and get some insurance out of me was ended because God is with me and God is good. And I don't consent to profiting off of me anymore, or, in that way. Now to the King, eternal, immortal, invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. We read that one. Oh my goodness. What is with all the... Is there even an X to get rid of it? These ads are terrible. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. Ugh. Yikes. That's scary. Because again, now politicians and people who talk politics on YouTube will tell you they actually believe God is in control and picks these terrible people and wants this for you. God wants us refined. He wants us the best that we can be. He wants us developing and evolving to be closer to him physically and mentally and spiritually so he can have a family. No, God doesn't quote unquote need us, but I do believe he wants us, each and every one of us. That's why Christ goes after even the lost sheep. So again, we have to be very careful. For one in authority is God's servant for your good, but if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They're God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities not only because of possible punishment, but also as a matter of conscience. This is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servants. So again, some of this, we got to be very careful with the digital versions. And I've gone over and over this ad nauseum. This is why I usually read from my Catholic Bible to you guys, but I just wanted to do a quick search on this. To those who by persistence in doing good seek glory, honor, and immortality, he will give eternal life. You just have to want it. Whew, this one. Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and the sexually immoral. So this means even if you're married and you're doing things that are not natural, you'll be judged for that. And what is the judgment usually, guys, when you misuse your body? A physical ailment. I am not a doctor. This is all spiritual. But this is why they attack channels like mine and the other one. I had over 200,000 views on that original channel and shut it down. It was a dumb thing to do, I admit, but the comment section was full of nothing but trolls at that point, and it was just irritating. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, my servant also will be. My Father will honor the one who serves me. That's Christ speaking. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first command and a promise, so that it may go well with you, and you may enjoy a long life. The other verse is, those who honor their parents are blessed. Those who dishonor their parents are cursed. In this world, you're either blessed or cursed. And yes, you can move from one to the other constantly. Put on the full armor of God. We know this. Moreover, the Father judges no one, but has entrusted all judgment to the Son, that all may honor the Son, just as they honor the Father. Whoever does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. The Jewish people that are here now are not the real tribe. That's obvious. People they show you on TV anyway, they're actors. I've seen ads for them myself. Other YouTubers have shown them to you. The news is staged. They like you in fear. And I think the fear is not just about loosh, as people say. I think it's to keep you easier to manipulate and control. And so you don't recognize the true spiritual war here that's happening. Thessalonians 4:4, that each of you should learn to control your own body in a way that is holy and honorable. In a loud voice, this is Revelation. They are saying, worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise. Then I heard every creature in heaven and on earth and under the earth and on the sea and all that is in them saying, to him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be praised and honor and glory, power forever and ever. Amen. Praise and glory and wisdom. Okay, Corinthians 6:20. Do you not know that your bodies are the temples? And this again is why it's obvious that the Jewish, the fake actors they show us on television, okay? They're waiting for this third temple. And all of the Christians who follow them are still waiting for this third temple. And they're still looking for these two heifers to be slain. All that was supposed to happen the first time Christ came. Why are you talking about it like it needs to happen still? The New Testament is spiritual. Christ told us, your body is the temple. That is the temple that he rebuilt in 3 days. Those who are not yet children of God, they look at the Bible as being completely and all literal. I know some of it is. Some of it is our history, our true history. But some of it, especially Christ, especially the New Testament, is spiritually intended for you to understand, right? They say temple, they mean body. Church means building, possibly. Because in the Bible, church kind of sounds like wife. I'm just saying. And again, I know everybody thinks they know what everything means and their perspective is right and nobody else's has any credence. Man, have that fight somewhere else. I'm not going to argue with people like that because I still look at certain verses and I learn something new all the time. Priests and pastors say that the same happens to them. So you can't just be so stuck in your pride and think that you're right about everything. We were bought at a price, so we're supposed to honor our God, our bodies. Okay. Now we're going to go to something else. I have went over the attributes of the fallen with you. You cannot trust them. They are not honorable. They are not loyal. They don't know what that means to be that way. Okay. Most of them have problems with their teeth. Most of them have no hair. Ladies, I got to tell you something. And I know this. I don't even know how do I know this specifically, like how to say this is why I know this. All I can say really is that there are a whole lot of women who seem to be having thinning hair. It was made known to me by one of the people that I work with that we are supposed to just accept it. My hair is thinning too, but I've always had thin hair and I've done a lot of damage to myself, so it's hard for me to tell certain things. But when I notice the fallen or people on the other team are avoiding things, I have to ask myself why. My son used to be really into his hair. He has beautiful hair. And a couple of months ago, I said, why are you doing this to your hair again? Like, you're not washing it. What's going on? He's not using anything on it. Well, what should I use? What do you think I should use? He asked. And I recently bought some shampoo from Etsy. the people, the actual individuals who are doing this to people, it's very anti-Caucasian right now, very anti-women right now. So if you fall in a Caucasian woman or you're just a woman, look at all the women who are having problems with their hair. Look at what Alyssa Milano showed us when COVID started, when she said, my hair is falling out. There are some people who say radiation poisoning is fake. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional. All I can give you is what I've learned. I do believe that we are energy. We are electrical energy. God is nuclear energy. This is why when people get close to him, they get burnt. Like Moses's face got burnt. We can't get close to him anymore because of that. We used to be light beings and we could physically be close to him. He would come down to Eden every night and walk with Adam in the garden. So that denotes that God had a body. And that denotes that God does things like we do. He can walk, he can talk, right? It also denotes that we are lower than God. He had to come down here to visit us because he made us, right? And his home is above. He is nuclear energy. So I do believe that certain things at certain times will happen to people and they will say, oh, that's radiation poisoning or whatever. And it's very possibly true. But I don't know that I believe it's coming from a certain place. I'm not sure about that yet. Again, I think the truth about how it operates is hidden from us. And I don't want to say too much because I don't know too much yet. I've not prayed on that a lot. Now you'll see here I've put up Severance. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So ladies, be careful with the hair products that you're using. When the fallen or people on the other team, and I notice that they're not doing something, if like not using shampoo anymore. And I've seen videos on TikTok of women talking about how they're going au naturel and not doing certain things. They're trying to give us clues without telling us exactly what's happening or how they know what's happening. There's something wrong with the stuff that we're using. A lot of it comes from China. Please be careful. If you're noticing certain things, forego it. Stop using it. There's something wrong with, especially like women, because we use makeup, we use lotion, all that stuff, right? Men don't really do that. It's more of a danger to women because of that. So please, all these breadcrumbs that I try to give without totally putting myself in danger or having people come drag me away at this moment, take it for what it's worth, all right? So I put up Severance. Why did I pull this up? Well, for a couple of reasons. Let me give you a quick breakdown of the show, and then I will tell you why I'm talking about it. Okay. Employees working on a highly classified project at biotechnology corporation Lumen Industries, like illumination industries, are required to undergo severance, a medical procedure that implants a device, causing them to lose all memories of the outside world. All they know is work. And oddly enough, they are conditioned by electronic bells, not our beautiful frequency, vibration raising, healing, curing church bells that they removed most of them for that reason. They're even telling people now that jingle bells used to be used on slaves. That's not how they were used. They're gaslighting you. They know that bells are good for they want your frequency as low as possible. They want you to be as hopeless and as desperate as possible so that you will go along with what's coming without any pushback. And I'm going to use this show to touch on a few things that I think are happening in our reality. So hopefully this will help some people and I will be able to explain it and relay it in a coherent manner that does not make me sound like an insane person or an insane conspiracy theorist. Okay, so when they go to work and the bell rings in the elevator, when they come out, they are the severed personality called the innie. The innie knows nothing about the outside world. Now, they still remember basic things like how to go to the bathroom and how to talk and what is what. But they don't remember their family. They don't remember their past. They don't remember anything they've done but work at Lumen Industries, and they don't even know what their job is. They move numbers on a computer screen, but it gives them a very bad feeling when they do it. So whatever they're doing, there's something wrong there, okay? One of the characters, let's see, will this just stay on this screen? Good. One of the characters right here is Helly Riggs, okay? Hell, red hair. Another pattern I've told you to watch for. Redheads are ascending in this hierarchical system that is on Earth, that is man-made, okay? That tells you most of it right there, that her name is Hell. She is actually a mole. She is the only one who, everyone volunteered to do this for different reasons, but she volunteered to do this for nefarious reasons, and we haven't found out everything yet. Now, something else to pay attention to in this show is that, do you see this picture here? You see the color of their name tags? Blue. The same color that we saw in Maui on the roofs, in LA, in the Palisades, when we saw a little VW bug that was blue and roofs that were blue, being the only things that survived these alleged wildfires, these natural disasters, which we know are places where they already want to build smart cities. How long are we going to allow this to occur? The thing is, though, is I think they actually bought the land at that point. If somebody doesn't want to sell, they will act like Teamsters and bully them off of their own land. So I wonder how much of that has been going on in the Appalachians and where they have these things planned. Because the Appalachians, those are old timers. Like, they are stuck in their ways and they shouldn't be forced to move, but they've been there for generations, right? This is what's happening in our world. And because we don't stand up for our fellow man, we are being judged ourselves in our everyday life. Now, you can think things are going great for you, but the fact that you think that shows that there's something wrong. If you think that everything that's going on now is good, you need to examine yourself. So blue somehow means safe, maybe? I don't know. What's weird, again, is I have a hoodie that color that says Catholic on it. Take that as you will. Again, my personal life seems to greatly affect the world. So they have memory issues. Okay, now I was going to talk about real quick. Well, should I do that testimony part at the end? Where did I write it? I will do my testimony part at the end, and I will give you dates to watch again at the end in case you've not heard those. And this shouldn't be much longer, but there's a couple other things I want to touch on real quick. And I'm almost done with Severance. So we'll move on in a minute. Now, they don't remember anything, which, again, we see this pattern in movies. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, where they have their memories of their relationship erased on both ends. Ariana Grande allegedly just made a strange reference to a place where she had all her memories wiped. Please understand, again, editing is terrible. It is so deceptive. If you watch the whole clip and if you know about her last album, that was the stuff on it. It was called Eternal Sunshine. That's why she's referencing it, because he's asking her about new music and she's saying, well, I still forget, because she was there and that was her newest album. So again, be very careful when just thinking listen to your spirit. If somebody says something to you and like me, like it hits you different and it like maybe you even see a red flag, maybe your vision even changes. For everybody, it's different. Maybe you get tinnitus in your right or left ear. For me, right means yes, left means no. That seems to be how it's going. Anyways, they don't remember their lives. So while they're at this workplace, they are in essence Adam and Eve, because they are pure and they're virginal. they don't remember what they've done. Now, at the end of this, Christopher Walken, he's one of the characters in the movies, or one of the cast members in the movie. Cast, character, script. Just the words alone. Okay, so this is Christopher Walken. This is where this gets weird, and we're going to look at this maybe another day in full, like just a whole video about nothing but typecasting, because I think, again, there's something going on here that we don't fully comprehend with movies. And I even think with some of them, it's like there's one mulligan, one person who thinks it's real life and doesn't know what's going on, and the people around them are like in the know. I've had that happen to me in my real life. I've had scenes like Jim Carrey, like where they ask me about products or they ask me about stocks. I try not to give that advice anymore. I don't want my gift to be hijacked like that. And yes, God, once I reverted back to God, he started talking to me again, and I started knowing things before they happened. But while I was on the side of darkness, by default, I didn't even realize it, while I had the dumb, deaf, and blind spirit, because I do believe that I was being drugged as well. I would wake up with injection marks, the things on my neck, things I've seen on other people's necks. This is very bad. It's very nasty. And if you've not experienced it and you say, well, I'm going to shut this off because this does not concern me, that's the problem. That is the problem. Eventually, it will concern you. Most of these things, in one way or another, you will have someone turn on you. In one way or another, you will be sold out, literally. In one way or another, you're going to face some type of judgment, whether it be your material things being taken from you, your family being taken from you, or all of the above. We are in a time of severe judgment, and the only thing that's going to change that is if we change our ways. So in essence, they are basically virgins while they are here, okay? That guy, Bert, he's Bert. He says he's worked there since a certain year, but in the same conversation, he said it's only been open for 20 years. So we know he's a liar. We also know there's a room in this place, because they don't even know what the whole place looks like yet. There's a room that looks like exactly like a scene from Willy Wonka, the new one with Johnny Depp. Well, the one with Johnny Depp. There's a room with grass and everything that looks just like that room. I think it's the television room in the Johnny Depp movie. It looks the same. So they either use the same set, or is it a set? What is a set? And there's something going on with travel, because if you watch enough travel stuff, in certain areas, they're only showing you the same 2-3 streets in the same buildings since like the 30s. There's something wrong here in our realm. And I don't know if God is going to fix it, because number one, we have to ask. Number two, it is a time of judgment. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. But again, I'm trying to do the best that I can to help out. So he says that the reason that one of the reasons, because again, it's a wheelhouse of reasons with these beings, one of the reasons these were created was to, he said, they talked to a spirituality person, like a priest, I think he said, and that they had discerned that the other personality, the innie, was basically its own soul. And he wanted his soul to go to heaven, because he had lived a bad life, he said. And in the show, him and him are together. They live together. They used to live together, but didn't know it. And now he's married to someone else, another man, and it's causing pain here. But I think they might all three get together. Again, polygamy and these polyamorous relationships you're seeing, by design. The fall in there, going around testing and tempting everybody with these same tricks. And if you fall into it, you're going to get judged. And why are they doing this now? And why are they making so many moves now? They must know that the time is close. We don't know the exact day nor the hour. I will also tell you, sometimes they know the future. If God gives his prophets information about the future, then surely his angels would know things as well. I don't think they know the whole future, everything. Each angel, I'm not sure how that works, but they absolutely have like a hive mind with the Holy Spirit. Like they all connect that way. Hmm. I don't know. Anyways, he wants to go to heaven. So he thinks that this other side of him, this personality, will get to go to heaven. Because they don't remember anything. So they are like pure beings. And essentially they want to piggyback their way into heaven. When I did a video, it was one of the first one, it was a big one, and it was the only one they took down. And it got a lot of push, and it got a lot of views, and they took it down because it was about Corona, and it was at that time. Again, I'm not a medical professional. None of that. This is all spiritual on this channel. This is how to apply things that are happening spiritually to your own growth and discipline and to your own, betterment. Now, they think they can piggyback their way into heaven. And I believe that's what was going on with Corona. I believe somehow, because we saw a lot of people change. They didn't want us gathering. They didn't want us together. Now that's, again, multi-purpose. Number one is because America has been infiltrated. It was in 2018 or 19. Something big happened, right? Something started making moves. That's why I believe the Queen passed back then. That's why I believe the Pope passed back then, because the world is in too much of a mess. Our systems are all being changed and dismantled too quickly. This has been going on for a while now. And they're having a hard time because the people who are running things now are prideful and they think they're wise. And honestly, they're so blinded at this point that they're walking idiots. And yes, I'm talking about some of the fallen, and I honestly don't mean you any disrespect, but you've transgressed so much that you're blind to what's happening around you. Worse than a human being, because you were close to God. You already been in heaven. And you know what you lost, I guess. And so that's the thing. I do have sympathy for these beings. And I have to be very careful when I'm making in life not to go too far to that side, because I do believe that we know a lot, all of us know a lot of people that are on, how many people do you know that were born by IVF? Do you trust the doctors that they didn't attach something in there, that they didn't use angel strand DNA? How many blue-eyed, blonde-haired people are walking around now? And they all look a little different, and their faces kind of change sometimes, and they don't always look the same, even in pictures and in real life. Christ wouldn't have to come back for a second time if everybody had gotten saved. Something was wrong, or something was coming. Now, again, they do know a little bit of the future, but I don't think they know the whole future. And I think that's how the one got me to believe him. I believe that the man I interacted with was actually a fallen angel, because a couple of the things that he said to me, again, they hit your spirit in a funny way. He didn't come out and say this is going to happen. Just a couple references made and a couple snuck in words here and there, word drops. Makes me believe that he is who he says he was, because of things that have happened in my life, because he had teeth problems, because he was a very large individual, tall, you know what I mean? Like tall and just bulky, just large, Viking like. So it's I could be still damned. I could be. But I don't believe that I am. God is forgiving. But now that I know, I don't think it's a good time to be hooking up, friends. If anyone is into hookup culture, at this time, you shouldn't be doing it. And if you don't believe me, go listen to the story of John Titor, the time traveler. I believe he was just somebody who knew what was coming and needed to have a creative way to get it out to us. He said in his messages that we should not be kissing people that we don't know. He was very chaste in the way he spoke in his messages. But again, yes, it's a creepypasta story. It's all over Reddit. Go check it out if you want. Some of the things he said have happened. Some of the things that this fallen one told me have happened. And so I believe that we are in a time like almost no other, right? So is it possible for a chip to sever your mind so that you won't remember certain things? Again, this is a pattern, and I've shown it to you multiple times. It was in this show called The Order on Netflix. They use a white powder, they blow it in your face, and give you a little like story, and you forget whatever it is they tell you to forget, whether it's a person, a place, or a specific time. We see this pattern over and over and over again, and we hear about it in the alleged alien abductions. That's for a reason. The things that happened to me, they weren't dreams. They were actual encounters because I had been so anesthetized as a child. I was in children's hospital a lot. I had received anesthesia so much that, and medication, like they gave me medicine every day just to like harm me. Like this is why these people do this. Like this is how I know I'm probably a child of God, because they did nothing but things that would harm me. They wanted me to end up broken and cold, or broken and malleable and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think I found one for them yet. They're always narcissistic and prideful, and they're always abusive. They're sadists, truly. Like they enjoy causing us pain. The ones that have fallen. Like that's they get so far in, and the humans that follow them, they get so far into that way of life and hurting others that normal, everyday, vanilla, sensual encounters, movies, action, activities, it all needs to be amped up because they don't feel anything. And this oftentimes leads to raping of others, dominating of others without their consent, in foul ways, even worse ways than just regular rape is. Okay, enough that topic. Now, why did I tell you about that chip? Because I believe that they're going to use your children again. They're going to use the children against us. You're going to say, Jen, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What is one way to put the fear of God, to put the fear of the devil into a parent's heart and guilt them into things? Missing 411. Okay, so David Paulides says that he owns that phrase. Okay, so I'm giving him reference right here. All right. The missing people, right? In the United States, more than 600,000 go missing annually. That's yearly, with over 4,400 unidentified bodies discovered each year. Despite steady progress in solving these cases over the past couple of decades, there are still over 20,000 missing person cases remaining open today. They are, in a nutshell, going to guilt people to get this chip in their children because you don't want them to go missing, do you? You're not a good parent. You must not be a very good parent. You must not love me. You must not love me if you won't do this for me. Well, Mom, what if you go on vacation, you're getting older now, and we can't find you? Just like the dog. If the dog goes missing, Mom, you like to go on those cruises, and those are dangerous too. What if something happens to you? You need to get this, Mom. Don't you love me? Don't you want my mind to be at ease, Mom? Can you hear it already? This is going to be the main proponent. This and money. You can't separate a man from his money right now in this time, not with the president we have, not with as idolatrous as he has. Every other word out of his darn mouth is gold. Gold this, gold that, gold this, gold that. How about safe and sound and free and joyful? Joy-filled people. So in a nutshell, they're going to use the medical records, the money, and the missing people. This is also why you are going to see, and I'm going to write it here. Well, no, I won't. This is also why you're going to see blackouts. Now, all right, so you see how we're split up here. North America Regional Reliability Councils and Interconnections shows you kind of how we're split up a little bit throughout the country. I can tell you, for example, in Northeast Ohio here, everything that we get, like food and gas and all that stuff, is on the same side of the country and it's close by. So we don't have these types of issues. These are grid regions. So this here, this blue is its own grid. All this red is a grid. All the green is a grid. Texas has its own. Then you got purple and the gray. They're going to start doing these blackouts, and you are going to see the internet go down. Why is it going to go down? Because it's going to repopulate, but it's going to repopulate different. Every system, when you want to reboot it or when you install new software or hardware, what do you have to do? You have to power cycle it, right? So this is why the internet will go down. They're going to blame it on another country, which is shameful. I've known this for years. Most of us have known this for years. What most don't know is this. So you should prepare for blackouts. They're going to say that another country caused it, but they're going to do it so that when they repopulate it, it is going to be highly censored. Do you know in Germany, for making a negative or a post that criticizes or comes off as hate speech, they will come to your home and jail you for it. Just think about that. Underwater cables. How the heck did they get under there, man? Really? How did they get under there? I'm going to do something real quick and go to this other page. Bring this up for you guys here. Make sure it's still working on this end. Hey guys, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. All right, so back to the underwater cables. Now, this is how much this has been in the news recently, okay? This is just 2 days ago, physics.org. Anything that says .org or .net used to be a credible, reliable site. So just remember that. .com meant communications, like so anybody could have a .com, right? And do anything with it. But .orgs are a little different. You have to actually be an organization. And we know man-made organizations are not infallible. That's not what I'm saying. Discern. Decide what you can trust and what you can't. And you got to trust your gut. A lot of these Hindus will tell you your gut is the lowest chakra, and that may be physically true, but your gut is where your intuition lies. This is why we need to clean it out. This is why we need to go back to clean eating so that we can see, hear, and communicate better with one another and with the world around us. People don't understand. They think it will be hard to go back to nature and live like that. It might be at first without all your stuff or your glamping or whatever, but you will be healthy. Your body will get healthier. And with a little, not even much time, you will be joy-filled because you will be living in the manner in which you were created to live. Right now, we have a bunch of spoons that are trying to be forks. They're never going to be forks, no matter what. You're never going to be a fork. If you're a girl, chances are you're not going to be a genuine, boy. If you are a donkey, you're not going to be a bird, right? Living the way we're meant to live will make us healthier. Being healthier will make us more joy-filled. Being more joy-filled will help us communicate with others better because we won't be so irritable. We don't understand what this is doing to us. Nobody has slowed down long enough to look themselves truly in the mirror and say, what have I become? What am I doing to myself, my body, my family because of myself? If you have a well-balanced, joy-filled individual, that individual spreads that to the family, then that's a healthy, joy-filled family. And that healthy, joy-filled family goes on to spread that to the community. This is why we need smaller, tighter communities, not inclusive to the point where you don't trade with others or you don't visit with others, but I mean our living, our actual day-to-day lives, okay? Needs to be with our original tribes, with those who are like us. And I know that, again, I'm not talking about segregation because of racism or nothing. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm getting at some of us like me and my mom, our whole family line was broken when she was abandoned. I know nothing about my roots, almost nothing about like who came before my mom and who came before. I know nothing. These people are manics about their bloodline. And there's a reason for that, because they know they'll be here for a long time. And so they're put in certain positions as well, and they give those positions to each other, and you see a high rate of nepotism. Right now, basically, if you're a true man or woman, especially if you're a true man or woman that knows you're a child of God, you are in it right now. You are getting hit from every side, from financial, from spiritual, from family, from relationship, from material. Right now, people like that are probably going through it. So we need to have softer hearts. We need to pray, or whatever it is you do. Declare these words above your people. All right, we need to pray for their well-beings. We need to pray that they can see and hear. We need to pray for the joy, because that's us consenting to it. At Woodstock, Jim Morrison got everybody. He said, "Oh, it's raining here, but we'll be all right." And everybody shouted, "No rain, no rain, no rain." They kept going. It didn't matter that they said the word no. What mattered was that they said the word rain. All those people, all that energy, music, drums. It rained, it poured. It was a mud mess. For those who know, you know. I'm not old enough to have attended, but I've watched enough documentaries and I've talked to several people. It was a muddy mess, right? Instead, they wanted sunshine. They should have said sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. Do you see what I mean? Do you see how this works now? They got the opposite of what they were asking for because the word no wasn't enough. Ask God for what it is you want. Ask God for what it is you need. We need to pray for softer hearts, because everybody's hearts have been hardened. And it might not work, but at least we've given it an effort. And that's what bugs me the most about churchy type Christians. And I'm not dogging on you, because I go to church sometimes. That's just what I call you, okay? The people who are physical church people who go to church all the time, they're missing a lot when it comes to certain things, because they think, well, it's just going to happen. God told us he would make a new earth. It's kind of like, well, so who cares about this one, right? God told us this was all happening. So what? We're supposed to just sit on our hands and do nothing? You wouldn't be here if that's what God wanted you to do. God did not create us to just sit on our butts and do nothing. He did not give us a tongue, which is the sword of the Spirit, to speak nothing. But careful what you speak, especially in this time. So submarine cables keep the world connected. They can also help us study climate change. Undersea cable cutting campaign. Russia is not the first nation to attack via hundreds of underwater cable networks around the world. They are just dogging on Russia. And here's my theory too. They're dogging on Jay-Z and getting away with it. There's something not right. Either those people are gone now, or again, it's misdirection. And you'll see that too, like how wrestlers put on a fight. My family did that. The women in my family, I believe my mom might have been an Eastern Star. She was something that served the other kingdom because of her gift, because that's where I think I got it. And she told me once, and again, I knew she was telling me something other than what she was saying. She says, "No, Jen, you are much stronger than I ever was." Because I was telling her how weak I was and how weak I felt, and how I just felt like, because what do you call that? A waffler, right? Like I just did whatever he wanted me to do because I didn't want to face abuse or whatever. And abuse doesn't just mean somebody hitting you. Let's be real. So on March 14th, you're going to see persecution go overt. You're already seeing them taking people and carrying them off to jail. Let me ask you a question. How do you know when you watch those videos of people being taken away by ICE, or if it happens near you, how do you know that that's actually what's happening? How do you know they're not just taking the homeless and the poor out of New York because they don't want them on the streets anymore? That's what they're doing. I know that's what they're doing for a fact. My family has tried so hard to purposely make me intentionally homeless, but they can't kick me out. They want me to go willingly, because if you go willingly homeless, I read something now that it's they're saying, or no, Trump said it, I think. You must be mentally ill if you want to live that way. So there's not going to be any more homeless. They're not going to allow you to be homeless. You're going to either be locked up, or they'll rehabilitate you if there's room, and I don't even want to know what that looks like, because it just sounds like conditioning. I don't want to know. Concentration camps don't look like you thought. MK Ultra, the definition of MK Ultra by the CIA was a series of flashing images placed in front of somebody to see if it would change their mind about things, or brainwash them. I hate to use that word, into another personality, into behaving like something else, depending on the pictures that were shown to them. Let me ask you, number one, why would they waste money putting us in camps? They won't. They won't put you in camps. You're in a camp in your house. It's called the television. The television is MK Ultra. It is controlling you. It is controlling me to a point still. It is controlling all of us, because we are watching these screens and not what's actually happening around us. The elites are around us every single day. The people they show you on TV, those are their proxies. They're not actually the elites of our reality in America, on Earth. So Russia's going to be the enemy. They're going to say Russia cut all these cables. I'm going to say they're cutting us off from the rest of the world, so we can't ask for help and tell them what they're truly doing here when the calling goes overt. And I expect that to be around March 14th of this year. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And then I'll end this video. It's been long enough, but I'm so glad that it worked and you guys were here with me. And we're just maybe going to have to stick to early morning and late night, because those are the times when, number one, my son is asleep and the spouse is out of the house. So I don't think they're not able to mess with me, right? Yeah, so they're going to blame this on Russia. I want you to take a look at something, because this is going to, I don't know how yet. I don't know what's going on with it yet, but I know that this is going to be a big thing. I don't know why. I don't know if it is the abyss, but I know that when the earth starts shaking, things are going to come out of the Mariana Trench. There are two options. Either A, they're cutting off our internet locally on purpose so that we cannot reach any other areas and we don't know truly what's happening to them or each other, right? I told you about the internet and how I believe they had already done that to some of us. I don't think they let anyone email me unless it's somebody on their list. So I bought an email. I don't think they let anybody call me unless it's somebody who's going to gaslight me that's on their list, like a troll. This is why I don't really make friends anymore. I need to go to a new area. That would be lovely, but it seems they're the only ones who get fresh starts, not us. So watch for the underwater cables. Watch for blackouts to start. Start prepping. Take your old milk cartons, your old milk jugs, your pop bottles, whatever you have. Rinse them out. Put some water in them. Those will last for at least a year and be good to drink. And then after a year, if you add a couple drops of bleach, it is safer to drink. Okay. Little things like that. Learn how to fish. Pack a bug out bag just so you have it in case you got to bolt quickly. That's something that I'm gonna do. I have the bag. I have the stuff. So now it's time to put it together. I've been practicing walking with a backpack on my back pretty heavily for a couple of years now. It did me in this winter, though. I'm not great right now. So just some small tips for you guys, right? If you take like a freezer baggie that seals shut, take some cotton balls, get some Vaseline, put the cotton balls in Vaseline, a bunch of them, put it in a baggie you can seal. those are now fire starters. You can start fire with those. You won't need to start fire starter or, 2 rocks to rub together. Little things like that you need to know. They will help you. Get a water bottle with a filter. That way, wherever you're at, you can just dip it into something like a good filter, right? You can dip it in a lake, a creek, a stream, and you can drink right away. And keep some of the pills on you. Those take an hour to work, though. And I don't know that they work. I've tried them. I'm not sure about them. But I know a few drops of bleach works. You don't want to put too much in there, but a couple drops. Okay, so we're going to get back to typecasting and Christopher Walken because not right now, but I want to tell you just a little piece before I dive into the last part of this video. Christopher Walken, the one who was on Severance, he was also in a movie called Brain Scanners, where he was the inventor of this chip and it was stolen from him. So I don't know if they're going to use like a crossover, but I will say something. Ed Harris acts as God of the earth in several movies he's in Truman, in Snowpiercer, and I recently saw another one, but I can't remember which one it was. We're going to look at that. Jennifer Connelly, she's always in movies about alternate timelines, being in a false matrix, and in two or three different movies, they all have the same scene of her on a dock with her back to the camera. There's something to this. That's all I'm going to say on that right now. And let me see. Okay. So March 13th is the deadline for all of the federal employees. If you don't believe me. I believe federal workers didn't respond to his email. Here's why. They're asked again. Federal workers face second Musk deadline to explain their work last week. I'm just going to punch in the date because I want to see if the link I actually read is in here. Okay, there's a second deadline, but for other workers, it's like for now on a weekly basis. Okay. Right there. Trump teams orders agencies to get large-scale firing plans to Doge by March 13th. And he's not refuted that claim. Okay. Trump admin orders federal agencies to prepare plans by mid-March for large-scale layoffs. My youngest son, the one who told me his friend down the road who lives at 222, I worked at 222 at the pizza shop where it was very strange. I went over 222 and 22 in those numbers. Caitlin, the basketball player, she looks just like the kid. It might be him playing her parts. I think it is. I haven't seen him for a while. Again, they're keeping me away from people that I've known for years. And again, my father-in-law bears a striking resemblance to the Pope. I just never noticed it. I was deaf, dumb, and blind. And I know that the Pope in the past, according to history books, has went after people of my family. That's a long story. I've told it in other things. Why I was raised Catholic, that's probably why, was so I would be more compliant or malleable, because again, people who say they talk to God or know when certain things are going to happen or are able to do certain things, they isolate you and they seclude you and they hide you away from the world because they don't want the world to know that such things are possible. Just like the kid on YouTube here, I was looking at his stuff. He fasted for 40 days. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Here we go. He fasted for 40 days. And his whole spiritual personality changed. And they sent people after him. I don't know why, but it's always an Asian woman. Post Malone, same story. It was an Asian woman. All his music changed. It's not high vibrational anymore. I don't know what he looks terrible. Um, John Lennon. John Lennon made beautiful music. Everything was wonderful. And then Yoko Ono came into the picture, and I don't know what happened. I just know he died shortly thereafter. The people of the Asian countries are raised with other gods. Japanese and Chinese and Korean people seem to be raised in other religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and they're very into meditation. And again, meditation that tells you to clear your mind, that's not good. Don't clear your mind. Don't practice astral projection. All these things open you up to lower level sentient beings attaching to you. So my youngest son, the one who has all the things with his girl now that he's with, who looks exactly like my sister-in-law, only 20 years younger. She also looks like my another girl who worked there at my husband's and son's job 2 years ago before they switched, when they worked at the burger place. 5 guys. I can say that now because they no longer work there. Because 5 is important here too. 5 guys actually means something. 5G means something. So I've been gaslight by them, like they wanted me to think it was the end of the world anyway. But the one who's actually acting like the Antichrist is my son. When I started looking into this and I started waking up in my computer at home, because when you're on a family plan, like you can see what other people do, Google's just attached that way. And there was a lot of time spent with Musk. There was a lot of time spent looking at certain things. But it also looked like there was some kind of ticker on our home computer as if he was putting out the Musk information. And I don't know much about how that part would work. I'm tech savvy to a point with basics like templates and analog, digital, that kind of stuff. How to fix your cell phone, I can help you with that. How to fix your billing, your roaming, all that stuff I can help you with. But some of this bigger stuff is, I don't understand deviousness. I really don't. My mind doesn't work like that. And if you say, I don't understand these people, that's a good thing. You shouldn't understand them because they're wicked. That's why you don't understand them. Because they're not mankind, first of all. They're not men and women. I don't know if Musk is a robot, an avatar, or just that uncomfortable being human, but him and Zuckerberg, like they're beyond weird. Like they're just strange individuals. And again, I'm not picking at them for, I'm saying these are things we have to observe. As far as we know, they're characters on a television. We should not allow them to affect us so much in our daily lives. That is what they want. They are aiming at civil war, and they're getting it in most states around the nation. I'm telling you, and you're not going to want to hear this. Satan hates forgiveness. He hates kindness. So forgive these people, pray for them, and be kind as much as you can. But telling the truth is kind. So if you hurt somebody with the truth, at least try to deliver it with love. These are just things I've learned because I've been a crappy communicator at times, not on the job, but with loved ones. And so, again, I'm just passing along stuff that I've already learned, trying to do my small part to help. All right, so the youngest one who wants me to believe this, every time he comes around, this is why I stopped growing tomatoes. I was doing really good, and the spouse now, I call him the pseudo spouse, said, wow, I didn't know you were a grower. And I said, that's a strange way to say gardener. And I said, I didn't know either. Obviously, you know this. But again, I don't think that's actually the spirit of my husband in the body. And now he's starting not even to look like my husband. Like the longer that this goes on, the less he appears like him. And again, all of these individuals end up looking very similar. I call them meatheads. The bald, the dark sunglasses, because the Book of Enoch says, like the mirrored sunglasses, the Book of Enoch says they cannot raise their eyes to the heavens any longer. He started wearing them. He wore them when we got together, but he started wearing them more and like giving me excuses when I hadn't even asked for excuses, right? When somebody does that, they're telling on themselves. They're their conscience, right? They're telling you something without telling you. They think they're smart. They think, well, if I say it first and I say, well, I'm not a part of this or I didn't do this, well, then I'll be, exempt. Very juvenile. Any parent knows how this works. Very juvenile way of thinking. Again, all of these individuals are the same. When you talk to them, they're all very similar. These are the attributes of the old gods. They are here with us now. They are among us. And God is allowing that because it is a time of judgment and we have not lived in the way that is best for our bodies, hearts, minds, and souls. Again, we have too many spoons walking around trying to be forks. We weren't intended to be cruel. We weren't intended to fight wars. They taught us those things. We didn't know evil until Eve ate from the fruit. I do believe it all had to happen, though, for our free will to be initiated. We had to go off and be refined and have a life to understand the things that God already knew inherently, right? So that one, whenever he comes over, something dies. My tomatoes died the one time he visited. Some of them looked like they had been just like cut off. Axel, the dog that appeared out of nowhere and walked in our house that day in 2017 when everything changed. He died one day when he visited. Jack died the next day after he visited. Something always dies every time he visits. The other day when he stopped by, there was a dead squirrel in the yard again. Very fresh dead squirrel. This is my son. Please understand, we used to be very extremely close. I was close with both of my boys. We were affectionate, and I don't mean in a gross way. So get your mind out of the gutter. I mean, they hugged me. They kissed me on the cheek. They joked with me. They patted my back. They would lay with me in my bed and watch movies with me. Fully clothed, not under the blankets. Just that's how tight we were. My room had an open door policy unless the door was shut and locked. That's just how it was. But things started happening. Something happened and changed everything. And my oldest son, something's been happening for a while. And if I find out who groomed him to this darkness, well, I'm not going to incriminate myself. But I'm telling you, we're not supposed to be violent. We're not supposed to fight back in that way. There are other ways to resist, and we are allowed to flee persecution. Because on March 14th, you're going to see somehow, some way these things will go over, because that is the day that my youngest son is allegedly marrying this person. My youngest son, who now acts like or wants me to believe that the spirit of my husband is in his body. What I hope happened was I hope it was a spiritual rapture, like I first thought when all this went down. Because we have light bodies, right? And when we're in the flesh, if we're too low vibration, we can't even see the other light beings. But our relatives, they never left. They're here with us. We can't see them. And they have a realm that is peaceful, right? Like the valley, the garden that you see in children's cartoons and shows of like Journey to the Center of the Earth, right? So I look for something big to happen on March 14th, because every time he tells me a date or he has a big day in his life, something happens on the world stage. And I don't think that these people they're rounding up are all migrants. I don't think that's what's happening. If they're illegal and they're not documented, well, how are you finding them in the first place? I don't understand that. Somebody explain it to me. Think about it. If they're illegal, they have no papers. They're working under the table. They have no ID. How are you finding them? Because it's not migrants, it's homeless people. And next, it'll be anyone who criticized the Trump administration or anyone who voted for him. I was really, really, really being pushed and persuaded to vote for Trump. And again, everything they want me to do and paradigm that they want me under is something harmful. And everything that I love that makes me me is being attacked. And that's why I say it's freaking personal. Because the Catholic Church being attacked, France being attacked spiritually, fell into debauchery. My family is French, my dad's side anyway. Pittsburgh has totally been changed, and that's where I'm from, and I loved it the way it was. Um, what else? Something else recently that they're doing that is a connection to me personally. Oh gosh, what is it, Jen? Hold on, did I write it down? The Catholic Church. Dogs, you're gonna see pets. They're already getting discriminatory about pets. I forget what it was. Something else that recently that, like, again, is from our personal lives and struggle and is being like a thing. Um, so March 13th is when they all have to get back to him. That's like the last deadline for Doge. And March 14th is when they're gonna do changes and stuff. I think they want us to hate Trump. I think that's the goal. Civil war is the goal. They want somebody else to take over for Trump. Now, will it be Musk? I don't know, because there are actually a lot of people that dislike him. I didn't realize there were so many. He's very arrogant. He really needs praise all the time. My son was like this. Now, again, I don't know if it's demonic and they are just gaslighting me, and my son and husband and some of your relatives were already raptured spiritually. Because, think about it. They don't want you near your family. A lot of families have split up. A lot of marriages have split up. Everybody's saying people are different. And I think, again, it's like Walking Dead. I think if something happens to you, especially if it's self-inflicted, if your body vessel is still viable, I think these beings take them over because they want to still be human. And then they use their false reincarnation method with the little Hindu bowls, like we see in the old Eddie Murphy movie from the 80s, Golden Child. Golden, there it is again. They take the spirit of the shaman and they put it into the child. I'll just show you a picture from it real quick. So again, you don't think I'm just talking off my rocker here. Dark fantasy action comedy. Wow, that's a lot, huh? Destined to save the golden child, a kidnapped Tibetan boy with mystical powers. Okay? So they do that in this movie. If you want to check it out, you can, obviously. But that's one of the clues in that movie. So I believe on the 14th, you're going to see these things go overt. That man who came from Las Vegas, LA, he called. Now, I would have never done this substance. We only did it for a short time, but he called it ice is what they called it. Now, I would have never done it if they told me what it really was. And I don't think that is what they tell us it is, because it opened my eyes. Like, I can actually see now. Or maybe I just got lucky and because I didn't do it that long, it didn't affect me. But it cleared me up in a few different ways. I was able to see people for what they really are. Okay, so he mentioned that too, right? So we're seeing all this ICE immigration stuff happen in the news. I just want to know how these people, like, how are they finding these people, right? I don't think that's a inadequate question to ask Obama after Trump. I don't know if I agree with that. I just don't know that I don't know. Okay, so again, we're seeing all this stuff take place. She also looks like somebody I used to know. And if they're doing what I think they're doing, this is the reason for the orphan trains, is so they can always look different. And they're at different stages of life because sometimes they have it and sometimes they don't. Adrenochrome. She's much older than that. You can see it in certain actors and actresses too. Just pay attention. And you can tell, I mean, you really can tell when something's a fake filter and when it's an actual person. And you're seeing Melania push back against deep fakes, which I actually agree with. But what you're going to see because of that is an extreme reaction. And it's not just going to be deep fakes. Have you noticed how militant Melania is dressing as well? All her outfits this administration have been very militant. And I told you, they do everything that God hates. God loves marriage. They don't actually marry anybody. Everybody that's with one of the fallen ones or their relations or somebody that's a Mason, you're in adultery because, well, at least by the state standards, because you're not really married. They don't marry anybody. Number one, because of their finances and their wealth, right? Number two, because it makes God mad. That's why they do it, because they do everything that makes God mad. So if there's a woman behind all of this, or a part woman like Baphomet, I would not be surprised. What do you mean there's no Melania Trump news? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Okay, so this year, let's see if I can bring up images. Okay, that is up from this year. I want to see 2025. Hold, please. All right, so first we got the outfit, right? Which looks like V for Vendetta. And he just looks, again, he looks like a political prisoner. He looks like somebody has held him hostage. That's what he reminds me. He looks defeated. And he looks a lot like my mother-in-law. Again, I was deaf, blind, and stupid for a long time. We didn't have cable. My husband actually encouraged that. I thought it was because he cared about us. Now I'm seeing things a lot differently. There's a guy that walks down the road. He likes Axel. He always smiles. He's a very jubilant fellow. Looks just like Wendigo. And I've told him he looks like him. Funny when I recognize somebody, like at work, when I said certain people reminded me of certain people, they disappeared after that. Never saw them again. Again, these people don't tell you where they're actually at. Hollywood, like the tours where you go see all those people's houses, those people don't actually live there. They wouldn't be stupid enough to show you their homes because of stalkers. And it's it. It's a safety concern, which I actually understand. So I'm not going to go too far into that. I just want you to be aware of how things actually operate. Okay? This whole video is about the operations and functionalities that you see around you, why they're happening, and what you should take away from them. Okay? But she's been very militant this I wanted to see the brown outfit she was in the other day. Let's see if I can find it. Excuse me. Deep fake show Melania Trump protesting husband's divorce. Oh, that's weird. Is Donald Trump using a fake Melania? I don't know. She seems much more involved this term. But I know they had issues in the past. Everybody said she was a hostage, that it was an arranged marriage and her dad is from another. Fake Melania Trump conspiracy returns. I'm telling you right now, they switched everybody. That's why the systems are a mess. That's why you're seeing all this, because they don't know what they're doing. They took things over virtually, but to apply them in the real world, they have no idea what they're doing because it's children. The fallen and their bloodlines have mentalities of children. You have to think you're dealing with children because you really are. And some of them legitimately are still children. Whoever plays Elon Musk indoctrinated our children, like through the video games, through those servers, through the online gaming. I wish I would have put a stop to that. I wish I would have put my foot down with my own son in that. And I'll be honest, this don't look like a deep fake to me. Just what I'm seeing right there, that doesn't look fake. But I'll be real. Donald Trump now does not look like he used to look. He is not happy. He's not full of joy. He's very toned down, and it doesn't look like it was done by somebody's advice. It looks like he, there she is, speaking against the deep fakes. That switch for you guys. Awesome. Joins push for law on deepfakes, non-consensual. You know what that word is. Now, just to show real quick, and I could have swore Melania had hazel eyes. I'm telling you, this blue-eyed thing, those are fallen angels, man. They've got that essence of heaven, and they're magical to us. That's the thing. They know that we see them that way. They use their eyes because they're beautiful against us, and they just do. But I could have sworn she had brown or hazel eyes. I mean, granted, with women on TV, it's hard to tell because of makeup, but I really thought she had like brown eyes. That doesn't, I don't know. But anyway, she has on another very militant outfit. Okay. She's against deep fakes, but you're probably going to see that go further. And again, when they shut the internet down, they have to power cycle it to start the new system, right? So they're going to put Americans on a new system. And I don't know if it's going to segregate us to just our land, segregate us to smaller regions with just our own areas. They don't want us to know what's going on in the rest of the world because they want to manipulate our reality. They want us to believe that this is how things are. It is mind control at its finest. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about, is Christ here? Did he already come? Or are we in the little season? Even though I disagree with it, I'm still going to look at it. I'm not going to ignore it. I have to look at it and say, this is why I don't like it. You know what I mean? I can't just look at things I agree with. That's totally biased research, and it's not actually research. You're just being a goober. There's a word for it, but okay. So the other thing, this is big. This is really big, and this might be the end of me on the internet. It might be the end of some of you on the internet, and by choice. So I'm going to show you this, and this really ticked me off when I saw it, but it makes sense when you think about it because of the cooling units, but it makes me very angry. I won't lie. Not angry enough. I won't do any harm to anybody, right? Or myself. You're allowed to have emotions, man. We're human. Emotion. And they want to take everything away from us that's inherent in us. They don't want us to have joy. They don't want us to have emotions. They don't want us to love. They don't want any of that stuff for us. They don't want peace. They don't want safety. They want all the opposite of all these things. God tells us we should marry. They don't marry. God tells us the men should be the head of the women. The women run the men in these families. This is why I've had the problems I've had, probably. He does not want me to be a wife. He wants me to be a militant mother to him. And that's backwards. So again, I would not doubt it if somebody female, partially female at least, is behind all this. Oh, I'm going to ask a question, and you guys can watch. I might do a short on this. Artificial intelligence consumes roughly up to 9 liters of water per kWh of its energy used in cooling towers and air mechanisms to dispatch heat. For example, Microsoft's global data centers consume 1.8 to 12 liters of water for each kWh of energy usage. Well, most people don't understand what that means. So let's try this again. According to the Washington Post, in collaboration with the University of California, Riverside, writing a single 100-word email in AI's ChatGPT is the equivalent of consuming just over 1 bottle of water. Things like this is why the rest of the world hates us, because we pay no attention to what we're doing. We pay no attention to the consequences of what we're doing. Isn't California having a water shortage? Isn't that where Musk's one plant was? Didn't he now move to Texas? Doesn't Texas already have water issues, clean drinking water issues? Aren't a whole lot of Christian YouTubers using ChatGPT, but telling you about the AI takeover? Again, just because somebody says they are a thing doesn't mean they are. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. While early estimates suggested about 500 milliliters per 5 to 50 queries. Query is a question for those who don't know. More detailed research shows that only about 15% of that water flows directly through the data center. Some of it's wasted. AI water consumption has two main components: embodied use, 30% of AI-related consumption, and operational use, 70% of AI-related water consumption. For example, training GPT-3 required Have you ever had a liter of pop or a liter of water? Alkaline water is really good for you, by the way. pH balance, it will eliminate the big C that's in your body. I make no claims, though. I'm not a doctor. My disclaimers are in the description. So 700,000 liters of water. You could probably stack those, and that would fit several pools. Probably 7 pools. 7 family, 4-foot, regular size pools. My brother-in-law was a pool maker, and my husband installed pools for a while, so it's just something I used to relate. Wow. For example, training the GPT-3 required 700,000 liters of water through direct evaporation. The water footprint in AI includes cooling data centers, which Memphis, every smart city is going to need one of these. And this is why they said there will be pain, because the pain will be felt by the lower classes who end up homeless, but then they will get swept off the streets because they're not allowed to be homeless. God forbid. You're not allowed to sleep in public. God forbid. What about people with narcolepsy who have actual issues that make them, not off? People on medication. They're never allowed out of their houses. They only want to see perfect people. You're not allowed to make mistakes. This is why they have AI. My new spouse gets so mad over things that are dropped or lost and could care less about people trying to steal his wife. That's just how they are. They can't make a mistake. They can't drop anything. They can't mess up an email. They can't say the wrong thing. And if they do, they'll never admit it. That's a lot of water. I would like to say we'll just use some salt water. We got enough of it in the ocean, but salt is no good for, salt gets in stuff. Wow. I'm so disgusted at that. Like, I'm just grossed out, guys. And I've asked my co-pilot now like 3 questions. I'm so disgusted. There's not going to be a middle class. And everyone's going to, oh, well, I'll be okay. I'll do this. I'll do that. We've got to come together. We have to do whatever, the opposite of whatever they say. If they want us not gathering, we need to gather. If they want us not resisting, we need to resist. And again, God might set up the governing authorities, but we're at the end of an age. If those governing authorities are going against God, you don't want to be lumped in with that. That's why I don't vote. I will not vote for the lesser of two evils. It is a spiritual bondage, and I refuse to involve myself in that. March 14th, some type, some way, overt persecution, you will see it, whether it's through new laws or executive orders. Again, don't let them frame the story for you. Watch it. Again, where are they finding all of these undocumented immigrants? Think, people, they're telling you the truth. If these immigrants are undocumented, how are they finding them? Okay, yeah, the neighbor thing. Everybody's turning in. I believe that, sure. But they're not just grabbing up immigrants. That's the problem. Immigrants aren't documented for that reason. They don't tell you who they are. They don't fill out paperwork. That's why you guys want them here legally, so you can track them and so you do know who they are. So, do you see what I'm saying, guys? Do you see how they lie, but they don't lie? Or they leave things out, or you got to read between the lines? Think about it. How do they know all these people are undocumented or are illegal immigrants if they're undocumented in the first flipping place? And again, some of them, sure. Some people fill papers out at the shelters, probably. I wouldn't doubt that. I'm telling you, though. Here's the bottom line. They tell you they're going after criminals and immigrants so that when you see people on the streets getting drug off, you say and do nothing. That's what they want. World War II. Are you going to fall in line? When you see people getting drug off that you know aren't immigrants, will you speak up? When they do it to your neighbors who you know are not immigrants, who you know have done nothing illegal, or maybe they're legal immigrants. Maybe they just have the wrong look and they're going after them. Or maybe they've become too independent in this country and they're going after them. Will you stand up? Will you put your body in between theirs? Will you do that? I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a voter. I am simply a woman who wants to be a better person than I was yesterday. I am no better and I'm no worse than most of you. In that way, we are the same. Not one of us is innocent here. But we can move forward properly with the knowledge. And now, like I told you earlier, this is why Mormons keep certain things secret, and it's good that they do. Because the more you know, the more you are responsible for. I just told you the truth about AI and ICE. What are you going to do with that truth? Is anyone going to stand up when they drag me away? Because that's coming for me very soon, probably. I have no one to stand up for me anymore. I surrounded myself with these people. This is why I give you their attributes, their clues, their breadcrumbs that they've given me. And this is why I teach you to say loud and proud, I do not consent. And that's when you have to use the word no. That's when it matters. You don't say anything else. That's why at Woodstock, that story I told you earlier with Jim Carrey, when they said no rain, no rain, no rain, they still got more rain because they said the word rain over and over. When you do not consent to something, be like Christ in front of Herod and simply say yes or no and nothing else, because they will use every word you speak against you. They will not use it for you. He's throwing a fit out there now. I better go so this video doesn't get cut because my babysitter's awake. I love you guys. Have a blessed day. When they start dragging away your neighbors, what are you going to do?